DigitalOcean interviews are in progress. Don't fly now. I wanted to get started first, just getting an understanding of, tell us a little bit about what problems you're solving for, a little bit about your company, and how did you get started?
So, WordPress is sort of the most popular content management system today. It runs more than 30% of the web. However, still the entire experience of running WordPress is broken. And with Breeze, we sort of took over the responsibility of really innovating for that. And we deliver WordPress hosting and deliver it to be really fastest.
And what was the, I understand you have been in the server business for a very long time. And I'm curious, sort of, how did that get started? How did you two meet? And then how did your first company come about? And then how did you get to Breeze?
Yeah, so while I was in college, I was doing a lot of freelancing work. And I wanted to stick with something which generated recurring revenue.
Yep.
So from just designing and developing websites, it was just to hosting. And that's where we started. And I met Sahil through a common friend. And that's how we started.
The first company was basically server management, right? You were just managing servers.
So actually the first company which we started was, it started out as a shared hosting company.
Shared hosting, yeah.
Yeah, so the customers we had for whom we were developing and designing websites.
I know you're now, 6 months into a
Yes.
beta, so you've just gotten started. And we were talking earlier about getting product feedback. So I know you have had some surprises when you talk to customers. Can you share some insights on sort of, what have you learned in your journey in building out a product for customers?
So a lot of founders, including us, used to think that we should just build more and more features and, that is what helps in selling. But ultimately, we realized that very, very simple things like user experience and understanding of your customer is what actually, helps you sell.
So tell me a little bit about, you mentioned you're in beta. Tell me a little bit about your product roadmap. When do you expect to go live, and what are you expecting to go live with?
So we launched our beta in 2018 Q3. It is basically focused right now on developers. We are receiving a lot of feedback from them and continuously improving the product. We'll be going live by December end for general users.
Yeah.
And we'll be going live with a basic set of features, but that will actually help the WordPress users as well as developers save their time.
Right.
And after that, we are building a lot of tool set for both WordPress users as well as developers, like content performance monitoring, extensive logging that will help them, make their lives easier and save their time.
So it sounds like, in some of this we were talking earlier, you're obviously giving tools for developers, lots of automation, but increasingly you're moving further up the stack in their business, in that you're also starting to help them with their business challenges.
That is simply because since we're focused on WordPress, we could do sort of much deeper integrations with the entire platform, which is allowing us to do a lot more. So for example, I'll tell you the front-end performance monitoring. So we've built a tool for that. It ensures the website loading time doesn't cross beyond a certain threshold. If it does, you get an alert. So it's not just uptime monitoring, it's actually the loading time which will be able to ensure that meets your SLA.
You mentioned focusing on WordPress. I know obviously WordPress has a pretty big share of the market in terms of websites and web apps that are built, but you had a very specific customer story that inspired you, on top of all of the data. Can you sort of tell us about, a little bit about the story?
Yeah. So there was a WordPress meetup where I was giving a talk on how to secure your WordPress. And after the session was done, there was a guy in his mid-50s. He walked up to me and he asked me for help. So he used to write poems in Hindi on his WordPress blog. And he got a message one day he got a message on his website saying that you need to upgrade your WordPress. He did that and suddenly there was a white screen of death. Now that was something really simple to solve, but the hosting company refused, and the guy, he couldn't afford an agency, and he didn't know who to reach out to for help. So he somehow found us and we helped him out. But that really led me to think that whose responsibility is it? And that is something we took on ourselves. And even in these days, if you see SSL, every website has to have an SSL.
Right.
But a guy who's just writing a blog about, say, a travel blog, why does he have to really understand what SSL certificate is, go figure out where to buy, install, make sure he renews it on time? We believe that is not the responsibility of a guy who's running a website.
Right.
So we as a hosting company took all these responsibility on us, and we're solving this by technology and just automation.
For having all of this managed services, so to speak, where you're taking the burden of supporting your customers, you must be running a 24/7 operation.
Yes.
So is that how you're organized today? You're basically supporting customers globally, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're supporting customers across the time zones, and may it be Diwali, may it be Christmas, New Year, one of our support guys would be there.
Right.
And over a period of time, we have really embraced the philosophy of giving round-the-clock support.
Right.
And that is something which really puts our customers to ease, knowing that there is somebody who's looking after your servers. And over the recent years, we've also started building distributed teams, which has really helped us. And so we're moving more and more people across the time zones, which is making it a lot more easier.
Now you've done something with the community, at least as far as WordPress goes.
Yes.
You know, is it the second largest WordPress meetup now?
Yeah.
Largest, second largest?
It's still second largest,
Yeah.
and just behind New York. So
Excellent.
when we started working with the Delhi community, it was just a few hundred members, and now it's like almost 6,000, just behind New York. And the community is really strong. It's a very healthy mix of designers, developers, bloggers, and we do a meetup every month in our office. And and interacting with that community has really helped us get a perspective of a customer, and it has helped us in picking the right features as well as setting the right messaging for the entire product, from the in-product messaging to the emails to everything.
What is your stack like today, generally, your technology stack? And you know, what are there some particular technology trends or capabilities that you're looking to build forward to, like, you know?
So the entire technology stack is based on containers, and we're using AWS, Google, as well as DigitalOcean right now. We are cloud agnostic.
Yep.
And the REST toolchain, what we're using is basically, because WordPress is built on PHP, it has to be PHP, MySQL, and the front end is built in React.js, and the back end of the app is in Node.js.
Excellent. And you have a universal control plane that you can run and spin up, and all these managed services, right?
Yes.
Across.
We have the complete architecture is based on microservices.
Yeah.
And we're also continuously adding more and more stuff. So under the hood. So I'll tell you a simple example. So we ingest all the logs from the servers into a central logging server where we are doing analytics, which is allowing us to figure out where the security vulnerabilities are, if there are any anomalies in the infrastructure, how to do profile and really accelerate the websites.
I was curious. I always ask startup founders and companies, you know, I'm always fascinated by the names they pick, right? Including ours is always an interesting one. So I'm curious, why Breeze?
So naming the company is really hard, and especially finding a domain for it.
Right.
At Breeze, the philosophy we had was to make the experience of running WordPress really, really easy and simple.
Right.
Or as we can say, make it a breeze.
Yeah.
And I personally do a lot of domain investing, and breeze.io was a domain which was in my portfolio.
Excellent.
So it was a natural pick, and we decided to run with it. So the first cloud server was in 2007. So I was running a shared hosting business, and one of the customers causing trouble, and he was running Mailman, so which is a mailing list service. So for him, I had to buy a VPS, and it took almost like one day to get provisioned. So it was just like another dedicated server. And I still remember it was running on a panel called Hyper-VM, which is now essentially dead. So long time ago.
I wasn't into technology and cloud servers until I met Arun, which was in 2009. And I think we did our first virtualization ourselves on Hyper-VM, I guess.
Yeah,
it was Hyper-VM only.
Wow, I'm curious, how do you guys think about building teams and building the right culture?
So a friend of mine once told me that CEO essentially has two jobs.
Right.
One, setting the right vision for the company, and second is getting the right team on board.
Right.
And that's what I've always believed in. And getting those initial hires right and having the right culture with them is absolutely essential, because you can't change that culture engine once you've taken off.
Right.
You just can't. And Sahil and me, we spend substantial amount of time in recruiting.
Right.
It doesn't always make hiring faster.
Yeah.
But it's something we've decided on.
Yeah.
And yeah.
All right. So Sahil, when it comes to product and engineering hires, are there specific things that you look for in those hires?
One thing that is critical for us is the person should have customer empathy. He should, he should understand the pain points of the customer and should be able to solve them. One more thing we try to do is try to give them the best work they can do.
Right.
Yeah. So these are two things that we try to do.
Nice. Clearly, you're building teams and you're hiring, and you have access to the Hatch community. So, is there anything that the Hatch community can do for you, whether it's using your product, testing your product, including hiring?
Yeah. So we're always hiring. So anybody who's passionate about WordPress or just container technology, please come talk to us.
Right.
And apart from that, I know almost all the Hatchers would currently be using WordPress or have had some experience with WordPress in the past. Mm-hmm. So I would ask them if there are any unsolved problems, if they want to make their website faster, or if they have any ideas, please come talk to us.
All right, thank you, Arun and Sahil. We really appreciate all the insights you have shared with us, and all the best with your roadmap and the customer traction. Can't wait to sort of regroup again same time next year to hear all the success.
Thank you. Thank you.